been on the hour.
Ah,
Recording is on.
yeah. So I wonder if so Zoo has had an experience that where they've realised that everything is bullshit. Basically, I hope you don't mind me paraphrasing in that way. I've had an experience of realising that everything is bullshit. Sophie, you've had like as opposed to like just talking about it and speculating, as you know.
No, I've had personal experiences of that in so many areas, whether it's health, mental health, sleep, food, everything. Through my life, I'm coming closer to my 70s now, so I've got a good lifetime thread of experiences spread from my early, I could say, childhood until now, for different steps of realization and rejecting this and this after this after this after this to realize, wow, I'm living on a pile of bullshit, you know. Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's, you know, so the I suppose, so again, like the flippening might be a sort of a tool for acting as a magnifying glass or a mirror or whatever, you know, analytical tool that helps people to look or helps bring them towards that sort of realization. Maybe is that the thing? And you know, I guess I bring that back to saying maybe the flippening is just a koan of sorts, you know, but I'm not talking from authority on the subject, I suppose, as usual.
Well, the flippening was behind the arc, wasn't it? Also, so there's also it has plenty of aspects. The flippening has so many. It's like a multifaceted thing. It's and that's why I think it was at the center of Hugh's book, of his initial arc, and then of the manifesto, and of a lot of our conversations. So let's not drop it, because it still attracts a lot of attention from all the people who are gravitating around the extinctionati, you know. And but the physical aspect, to be honest, the geophysical aspect is not really completely clear for me, and I'm repeating. I really would like some people to help us to understand this more, and maybe just spread it a bit more. Don't forget the power of belief, and you know.
But is it a matter of maybe finding out like that again, I'm not trying to push this idea as such, but it's just I'm rambling. But are we maybe identifying something valuable about that moment of realizing that everything's a load of bollocks? And is that really what the flippening's brought to our attention? And in that case, you know, there might be other ways of looking at that, whether it's the flippening or otherwise. So
yeah, but there's another aspect of the flippening is also surviving, because at the core of our conversations was also surviving this, and that was not just a practical thing, you know, surviving a flippening, a metaphysical flippening, surviving a geographical flippening. What is a lifeboat there? You know, how do we get there? And we have been talking a little bit about that, but we need to go a bit further into how we equip. Like, how did you, Zoo, for example, before you realized that historically sleep was in two phases, how did you live your life when? How did it? You said it generated anxiety, but it must have had some really big consequences on your life, and there must be a before and after your realization.
Yeah, I mean, there would be times where I used to wake up and I would like sort of lie in bed and sort of force myself to stay in bed with the thought, well, I need to sleep now. I need to sleep now. And if I don't, I'm going to, you know, bad things will happen. But nothing bad ever happened. But I lived with that anxiety for a long time. anyways, I still remember when I heard about the phrase specifically I heard was second sleep, and then it was an article about biphasic sleep patterns in historical times, and that was like, that was a come to Jesus moment, and I just learned of that. I just realized it just completely, everything about the way I was sleeping just snapped into like clear focus. Like, wait a sec, this is me, and I just recognized in that story exactly what I was experiencing, and it was like instantaneous. Like I stopped feeling anxiety very quickly.
That's powerful, isn't it? That's really powerful. But you see, what we are doing, what we've been doing for the last while with the Extinctionati is kind of just offering this kind of safe lifeboat for people to survive, whatever comes. We don't know, but this kind of collective um, mind of people who are collective mind of people who are ready to practice mutual aid and to apply it in everyday life and share their experiences, and that's why we're not just throwing out the idea of the flippening like that and saying what's going to happen happens and just get scared and stress out people even more than they are already. I think it's also there's a proposition here that we have, a mental attitude and preparation, and also a physical one. And I think that's also what Hugh had behind the flipping, is this exploration of how a collective of wacky people like us can face the flipping, you know?
Yeah, I definitely feel like the flippening is something that happened inside me. The day after I figured out second sleep, I was a different person. But the rest of the world just carried on, sleeping one phase of sleep and maybe also feeling anxiety. So, like, for me, the metaphor of the flip is definitely a very personal and mental place of alignment that's what resonates more than whether it's a real physical phenomena, although I don't doubt it, and it very well might be. I can't speak to that, but just it's the metaphor, the strength around that idea of that switch, and that we don't necessarily always know. And then when change happens, it can be almost immediate or instantaneous. Things don't carry on forever. I think that metaphor is far more a centralizing kind of theme than the physical manifestation of the flippening.
Yeah, but don't underestimate the power that an individual awakening to certain realities like the one that you mentioned can have around you. Don't think that this happens in isolation, and because you have realized something, the world continues as before. You don't. You have changed something in the energy. You have actually, and we, all of us, have an effect, by these even these little realizations and these talks and the flipping and it's just not we're not it's not happening in isolation, um, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And that's interesting because we always come back to these narratives, don't we? We always come back to the questions that Hugh used to raise in his first videos, his no escape videos, where he questioned everything and went back to more spiritual things afterwards, which is something I miss too. But we have, Bob and I talked about meditation in the last private conversations we had, and I was wondering if I was wondering if meditation is not something, and I've had the conversation with another friend about this, is not something that you do, but something that you are. What do you think, Bob?
Oh, bloody hell. Well, again, I'm doing it every day now. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why I'm compelled to do it. And I've settled on doing something I believe is called shikantaza, which means don't do anything in particular. and you just sort of sit there and look at the wall. You don't count your breath. You don't try to relax or not relax. You kind of you make a point of sitting straight, but I realize that my proprioception is not to be trusted. So I think I'm sitting straight, but there's no way for me to really know. But yeah, so apart from intending to sort of sit nice and straight, I don't really do anything. I just sit there. I'm compelled to do it every day, as I say. I don't know what it's for. I can't tell you why I want to do it. And it's sort of feeling quite easy. So I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong, because I can sit at the moment for some reason. I'm sitting for about 30 minutes, and I could just sort of do that every day. I just sit there, and the rest of the time I'm addicted to some sort of stimulus. So I sort of do stuff. I either actively procrastinate or I do various things that I would very loosely label as work, and sort of doing something. So all I know is that I'm choosing to sort of do nothing, and I find it relatively easy to do for half an hour. So I'm thinking I should try and do it for a little bit longer until it starts irritating me more. But yeah, again, I'm terrible. I'm a terrible person for these sort of meetings, because I wish I could sort of make some bold statements about how this is going to transform this or this. Again, as anyone who's followed the conversations may be aware that I was very interested in Hugh's proposed method for meditation. In the long conversation I had with him, where I attempted to tease out a little bit more detail, he did at one point say, well, it doesn't really matter whether you're looking at phosphenes or not, as long as you're focusing on something. This method of meditation eschews focusing even. So I've tried various meditation techniques, and I don't know why I've settled on this. Maybe this is a form of dissociation. I'm not sure. It's really. I would be a terrible fucking guru, unfortunately, because I can't tell people what I think about something, let alone what they should think about something. So I think I need to do it for another 10 years or so before I'll have any conclusions.
Okay, and I'm kind of floating towards the feeling that it's not something I do, and I feel like meditation is a form of being in the moment of every day and every moment of the day, more than I could find it very hard to explain in words, because of course we're touching a subject that is more felt, and that doesn't really relate to any language. But it's I think the more you grasp onto a method or into rules, structures, time, the more you lose track, and you completely, you defeat yourself in that kind of pursuit. So I mean, I just think that it's a way of being more than a thing you do. That's really what I my experience is. I think there's so many people who are holding on hard to a method with a time and a structure and a discipline and a stuff that it doesn't make any sense to me, to be honest. I'm very interested in what you explained. Don't forget, he was in a cult at a very young age, and that they used to make them meditate very early in the morning for a long time, and that he had a structure, and he has analyzed all this, and he understood all that, and in my opinion he had some kind of enlightenment or awakening because of this intensity of the work he did. But that was in the confines of a very strict boarding school, and as what he said to you, it doesn't really matter now for him, and maybe for a lot of people. I think it's if we approach meditation with an alien cortex type of attitude, we're not going to go anywhere, I think.
It's very interesting, because one of my big reservations about the whole meditation thing is like how like it seems like a completely irrational idea anyway, that the only way to get through life includes sitting and just not really doing anything, because that doesn't really seem to reflect any as in doing that as a sort of forced thing, right? So you think, oh well, a cat isn't meditating, but a cat seems to be very capable of just sitting there and looking at the wall.
A cat is a living meditation. I can tell you, I observe my cat, and I'm just, it's kind of guru-like, you know?
Yeah. But what I'm saying is the cat just does that. The cat didn't need to go and watch a bunch of YouTube videos about how to do that, right? So in other words, I'm making a distinction between meditation as a process that you decide to do, as opposed. So what you're describing to me sounds more like what you'd want meditation to be about, in other words. So you've kind of answered my question about what's the point of meditating, and you're saying, well, if you can just be present in your daily activities. But I suppose the question is, if you can't do that, how do you create that? So to my mind, the practice of meditating and doing it in this organized way is to try and get yourself into the state where you can then do the thing that you're talking about, because I don't feel like I could do that.
Well, I think that you see, in the world we live in and the constraints of this society, the only way for a lot of people to drop out is to meditate in the way that you're describing, with a certain time and a certain place, because you are not in the conditions that enable you to be in the present, to be in the moment. And so obviously you're going to use the same language that your society is using, which means there's a time for meditation, there's a time for sleep, there's a time for work, there's a time for food. So, but if you want to go a bit further and totally negate this crazy madhouse we live in, that's where I'm coming to say that meditation is a way of being, and it's not a separate moment which you set aside and you seek this or that when you're doing it, or you concentrate on this or that. You see, so that's again, I think that the poor image of meditation now that you see on YouTube and people and instructors and everywhere are just really sad, because they are, but they are windows, and I'm not saying that it can't bring you anywhere, but telling you that you have to be still says it all. Because I don't think our ancestors needed to be told that they had to be still. They were still when they felt they wanted to be still. They would stare and smell and look and feel and touch. We are, again, like the problem of sleep and food. We're in an insane environment for human beings. We are the caged chimp. So how can we? So there is a door, and certain techniques of meditation might be a door. And I'm not saying that I have done it, and I know I do it sometimes. It's especially when times are very alien cortex type of thing. But again, it's just a door, and there's many other ones afterwards that lead you to something that you don't know, but is certainly not falling under the constraints of time.
So I guess the thing is, I would go, yes, but I can't do that. So how do I train myself? So for instance, one of the things I've experimented with is sort of meditating when I'm doing a walk, right? And again, a walk is a thing that I have to do, right? So I can't just walk in the sense that a cat will go walking around some of the time and will then just sit there looking at the wall at some of the time, and it seems to be doing a natural thing that is vibing and flowing with the universe. But nothing I do vibes and flows with the universe. So I have to go, I'm going to walk now, because if I don't tell myself to do it, there's no particular reason to do enough walking. So I go and walk, and then I say to myself, okay, I'm now going to meditate while I'm walking. I'm going to be in that state, but I have to decide to do it, because otherwise my mind is on other things, like resisting throwing heavy objects at Range Rovers or whatever it is I'm preoccupied with. And so I go, okay, I'm now going to direct my attention and keep it on the sensations at the soles of my feet. And I think, well, that's sort of meditation, it must be. And then I try and do that and just let my attention, blah, 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 stay on the soles of my feet and so on and so on. But at the same time, that is, again, it's another directed and sort of deliberate thing. And I don't know if I need to do the deliberate thing to get myself to a point where I could be a bit more like you're describing. I kind of like the idea, maybe I should go, oh, well, maybe I'll just allow myself to be more like Sophie in that way or something like that. But I don't know if that works. I suppose I could try it.
But don't forget I'm older, and also I'm in a rural area, so it might be a bit easier to drift into certain meditative states.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a more, it might be that like just environmentally or in terms of like the normal flow of your life within that context is different. Yeah, but then again, is that a sort of thing of like all urban people are inherently fucked to
well,
which might be true, because it's such a natural environment.
It might be true because cities are fucked, and we know that, and we know what they represent, and there is no escape.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Oddly enough, that's something that Hugh definitely left an impact of a very tangible nature, which is like, well, yeah, if you go to the rural option, then the police are going to turn up and take your fucking potatoes anyway.
Yeah, but to come back to the subject of meditation, I'm not saying that I'm rejecting the Buddhist or Zen type of sitting down and all, but we've been completely, I think, conditioned for centuries to look at spiritual masters as those people enshrined in ashrams and temples, sitting still and looking like saints and everything like that. And I question that again too. I just say, well, I've met a lot of people who are totally awakened and enlightened. I've not met a lot, but I've met a few in my life, and those are simple people who have probably, some of them haven't even been to university, haven't been any, they're not clever. They have little menial jobs, but they radiate this kind of wisdom and peace and knowledge and this kindness, and they don't meditate, they don't do all these things, but these people have it all. So I was thinking, well, it's all like this, all the rest of bullshit that we've been taught, like, why do we look up to Zen masters and Buddhist monsters, I was going to say, masters, or Christian ones, or Jewish ones, or Muslim ones? We are completely brainwashed to think that that's the path, and it's another constraint. It's another thing that I'm kind of trying to. I've done like you. I've sat like cushion, and I have done the Hue thing with the pharaonic position and concentrate on the phosphenes, and I've had some good, I know it does something. It certainly gets you completely out of Chronos, and you got this kind of, I've really experienced a total distortion of time and perception. I know that I've done it, and even at a younger age, but it's not, I don't want to hold on to this. I don't want it to be something that is too rigid and set in ways. It has to be fluid and open onto other things, and otherwise it creates anxiety, and it creates sort of, oh, I haven't done this, and it goes down on the list of things to be done, like, I don't know, cleaning the floor or something. You don't, I mean, that's not, you can't just make a little niche in your life and say, okay, that's my moment, and I'm rambling there. I don't know if you follow what I'm saying.
No, it completely makes sense. Yeah. Well, it's just
I remember reading the journal of an Irish young woman who died young, who went to live in in a Zen monastery in the 70s, at the time when a lot of people. But she was not one of those upper class kind of wanting to have an experience of the East. She was a deep person, and she was one of the things she was saying is her deep meditations was when she was weeding the garden and doing the dishes and scrubbing the floors. That was some of the deepest experiences she had. And
yeah, that's all. Yeah, yeah. I've tried to do that because I don't particularly like doing the washing up, and I've tried to tell myself that it's a form of meditation, but I can't persuade myself yet, much to the chagrin of other people who have to encounter me in the material world.
Yeah, but that's another Chronos thing, because you're in the time of this. You're not in the moment. This is a slot. And I think the moment we get into this kind of reasoning, we can go nowhere. It's seizing the opportunity, whether you're in nature, like when you're walking or doing the dishes or whatever. It's just, it happens. You don't make it happen. You can't grasp. You can't control. You can't. Otherwise you're undermining everything you want. If you grasp, if you clutch, if you hold, and it was just what she was trying to explain, is that it was by being fully in what she was doing, like when you're when you're a child, when you're playing with your toys and you're building something, or in the garden and you're looking at an insect on a leaf, and you're so totally engrossed in what you're doing that you're close to this state of total meditation. And I think that's what she was trying to explain.
Yeah, but I suppose if you're not able to access, I mean, that is the kind of that sort of paradoxical thing that I perceive in a lot of these spiritual ideas, is that, the state is there. You are in this state already. And
Yeah.
Go, where is it though?
But exactly.
I'm not present with the washing up right now. I'm not present with the washing up. I'm thinking about some fucking.
But you have it there. You have to peel off these layers.
Yeah.
To get to what's already there.
Yeah, but then that's when you end up
following. Meditation is our natural state.
Yeah.
It's just that it's covered with like an onion of layers and layers of things, and it's like the theory of the layered brain, really, and the alien cortex. It's the same thing. We're talking about different levels that we need to identify, and a very good exercise that you used to tell us to do, and Mike very kindly reminded to me the other day, because I had forgotten about it, is identifying when we are thinking or talking or doing, what part of our brain is acting there. What is it? Just naming it, just recognizing it, and even that is an exercise that puts you into a state where you dissociate from the control of the alien cortex. Suddenly you're taking an introspective, very discriminative look at what is operating there. And I find that actually much, for me, I find that much more helpful. And I've discovered things, and it's made me laugh. Like, it's fun to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose again that comes back to be your own guru, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it's me. Am I being a reptilian there, or this is my mammalian side? Oh, this is so alien cortex. But I know it's just it might sound very childish and maybe, but it's if you do that on a regular basis, you laugh. You laugh at it all. You laugh. Okay. So we've been 1 hour and 45 minutes rambling on flipnings and meditations and sleep. And is there anything else that you would like to bring into the meeting, or shall we conclude and go about our daily lives?
Yeah, for the sake of humanity, I'm happy to say I've probably said enough already.
It's time for second sleep for some of us.
Well, listen, I wish you a very, very good second sleep. And we're just
Likewise.
going to say goodbye to everybody. And thank you for being there. And I hope that the call out to people who want to come back on the flippening will have bear some fruit, because we'll have a Western meeting in a couple of weeks. And I hope that some people will come forward before on the sub to show that there is an interest for that. Okay. All right, everybody. Goodbye.
Ciao, folks.
Bye.
Hasta
Om Shanti
luego.
Om.
Bye.